Hey guys, this is a different kind of video because I don't really know how to go about something like this, so I'm just gonna kind of talk. I feel like with this channel and with my channels in general, I'm kind of stuck. And I'm Jack from Yoded Chris, but I don't think anybody will really understand. It's hard to do things as a Christian, and it doesn't seem like it should be, and nobody really makes you aware of that if you're not actively going through it. And what I really mean by that isn't that like nothing like life becomes harder or something. Like I'm not gonna say anything's more difficult for me. But I just, when you are told something, you are then like aware of it. And that can be good or that can be bad. And if you know something's wrong, it kind of weighs on you if you know you've done that. And I have always struggled with not necessarily being sinful in my videos, which that has happened. Um, I think that there's a lot of videos on this channel, some that I've taken down because of some things, but just things people are saying. Nothing that's like being done, but like bad jokes or swearing. And I know that like that's not typically a problem for the average person, but for me as a Christian, I really try to be aware of that. I try not to spread something that I don't believe in, and for me, swearing is a big deal. And just the simple things in life, to me, like tell the most about a person. But like when it comes to my videos, I don't necessarily like give any rules. I don't tell people, hey, don't do this, this, this. So like I just go with the flow. I make sure I'm not doing things bad, and if something is really bad, I tend to take it out of the video. And that's not really the problem I'm having right now. There's not like anything going on. There's no like one person or no event that is causing me like issues right now. And the main thing is that I, as a person who likes to make videos, um, I feel like I need to have a reason or a purpose for a video to like come to fruition. And that means that if I don't feel like there's enough value in something, I then lose 100% of my motivation to pursue that. And I think that's why I struggle with a lot of things in my life is because when I feel like I know something, I feel like that's the way it should go. That's the only way it should ever go. And I know that might seem one-dimensional, but it's really not in my case. Um, I try and see things for what they are, not necessarily what I want them to be. And so I kind of see the lack of value in some of the things I do. And that's why school is difficult for me because the career path I'm going with, the school I'm in right now is a community college, so it's like basics. And I'm only struggling because of work ethic and motivation. And I just can't bring myself to devote my time to something that I don't believe in. And right now, the issue I'm having with my videos, for context, I'm trying to restart To Be Named back, and I'll just pop some of the other videos on screen here, um, if I remember to. But To Be Named is just something cool. It's a group of people just we just play games. And I used to be like really strict on having everybody there, having like a really good plan and all that. And so once it kind of fell off a little bit for whatever reason, for drama or whatever, just lack of ideas, lack of people getting on, whatever. The second time I tried to start it back, I tried to be very, very precise on how we recorded it. So there's like 8 people in the second attempt, and we did 2v2s for a siege video. And it went great. it went flawlessly. It was really fun. Everybody had a good time. Everybody was excited. It was like a good starting point. But what I had done is I had me, Little Cameron, and Josh recording, and Isaac recording. And I also had a Discord bot that would record the audio in the chats as well. So what ended up happening is with all of that recorded, I kind of didn't value the content of the video enough to warrant the amount of effort it was going to take to put all of that together. And that sounds lazy, but it would have been actual hours just to line up the audio files of those Discord calls with what was happening on the perspective of people playing the game. And that to me just it wasn't worth the effort. And that's a real issue that I find with a lot of things. And one of the main ones that I need to get better about, and it's not for the lack of meaning in this regard, but with my videos and with my faith in Jesus Christ. By the way, if people you watch that are Christians do not say the name Jesus Christ in any way, shape, or form, they might be, I don't want to say fake Christians, but you might need to watch out for that next time you listen to a Christian song or something. But the name of Jesus Christ is what holds power. God could mean anything, but to me it means the one true God, the one and only God, Jesus Christ. But for a lot of people, God is a general term. Um, but the point is, I have a hard time incorporating it into my videos. And that might be a large part of why I lack the motivation to actually work on them. I lack the motivation to do a lot right now that I need to be doing. But I have another Siege video we did that I just kind of completely lost sight of how I would make it into a video, if it was going to be good or not. Because Siege is not really a good content game, because you've got to be quiet and you've got to really try or you're not going to do well, and it's just a whole problem. But I kind of scrapped that video to a degree, and then we started playing different games. And we played Peak a bunch, and we played Phasmophobia a good bit, and we're gonna play Among Us in a few days for video. And the thing is that the videos I have been putting out are more one-off side specials almost, like the Dr. Dinkleberry shorts. Like it's so fun to be able to include those younger guys who are really intrigued and involved and really enjoy making those videos. And I love to be able to give that a platform, whether it's dumb stuff or funny or not funny. I mean, they have a blast doing that. And their friends at school are they're telling me that their friends at school are all the time talking to them about it. And it's really good thing. But that's not like content. That's just stuff to look back on when we're older. Um, and I already do that with my videos. I already look back with like Big Cameron and people that were in some of the older videos, and we look back on the old stuff and we laugh about it and we make fun of it, reminisce. But I just don't get that feeling anymore from the videos I've been trying to make. And I think that's just because of the lack of meaning. Like, yeah, it's funny. We had fun. Like the most recent video, the FNAF Roblox game. It's just we had fun. It was funny. People were screaming. It was a fun, entertaining video, and that's what it's at the core of YouTube. That's what you're supposed to shoot for. It doesn't need to be amazing gameplay or like a crazy idea. You just gotta be funny, especially in the gaming sphere. That's why streamers like Jinxie and the Burnt Peanut and stuff do really well, and YouTubers like some of the Minecraft content creators that really suck at the game, but like they're just fun to watch. Um, but to me, it's like if there's not a reason for me to make a video, I just don't have the motivation to make it. And I feel like that could go for a lot of things, but I just think that there's never been a time where I'm like, I'm gonna incorporate my faith into this video. And the few times we have done it, it was done in like podcast form or like long form. And this is kind of the same idea. It's just long form and I just talk. Or like me and one or two other people just talk. And that's great and all, but in order to make that like actually matter, it's gotta like do well. And none of our stuff does well. So in the attempt to have some consistency, I've kind of blocked out the entire point of my life, which is to praise Jesus. And I've been falling behind in that a lot. I feel like I'm still being a good role model for people around me. I do fall and slip up and say and do things around my friends, and not bad stuff, but just like I get angry or something and get mad about something that doesn't really matter. But like the point is I feel like for the most part, I'm not falling away from Jesus. I'm just becoming inconsistent. And I think that nothing outwardly has really been going wrong, but like internally, I just think that I devalued my own work ethic to the point where I just can't bring myself to get back in the habit of stuff. And I don't really know how to solve that problem. I'm really good at analyzing problems and finding them and attempting to solve them, but I've never been good at applying the solution. I've never been good at actually solving problems. And in my own life, in random everyday things, I'm great at it. But when it comes to like my life, I've always struggled with that. And I couldn't tell you why. I feel like I give people like amazing advice sometimes, and I can never apply that to myself. And it's a struggle, but it's a first world problem. And that's another thing. I feel like my problems don't matter because they're not real in a way. I mean, it's just lack of motivation. I mean, the people starving in third world countries don't have a lack of motivation. Like that's not their problem. So it just kind of makes me in my own head devalue my issue. But like I really want to be intentional with my content. Like anything I'm putting out there for people to see, anything about me that's being put out there. And I recently rebranded Yoded Crisp to The Targets. And that's kind of a play on my username being the Target 950. And just the idea that Yoded Crisp as a brand, there's two reasons. It doesn't really mean anything. It never really did. But it comes from a Clash Royale clan that was mine, that was named by Sam. And people who like know me will know who that is. But he was in some of the older videos, and really good friend. Like one of my best friends ever. And we don't talk anymore. I mean, I'm not gonna blame anybody. I did a lot to cause most of my problems, but it just seems like every time I've had a problem, and not just with Sam or with any particular person, but like every time I've had a problem with someone, it usually starts out as a me doing something wrong to them or to someone, and then I make it right in some way. And I apologize, I get back in the loop, start talking again to somebody. And then something happens and it's kind of out of my control. It's like something either untrue has been said, which has happened to me multiple times, or I make attempts to make things right and there's just really nothing I can do. Like it's a complete decision from the other party. And I just feel like since that's happened to me so much, it really makes me think. And I know people say all the time Satan attacks them because of all the bad things happening in their life, and they blame it on Satan. I know for a fact that Christians are under spiritual warfare and get attacked for things, but I think it's just the negative forces. Satan pulls at strings already attached to your heart. He pulls at things that you're already struggling with. So he's not making new problems for Christians. He's just targeting the problems Christians already have. and not making them worse, but kind of antagonizing them, making them known or making them worse in some scenario. And that's not me saying that any one person is doing Satan's work. That's not what I mean. But I just think that the more and more I start to understand what I'm doing wrong, the more and more I fall, and the worse and worse some things get, especially in like my personal life. Because when I understand what I'm doing wrong, it kind of brings it to the surface. And so that makes it a lot harder to control the things in my life that I can't control. Like drama with people who say things about me or think things about me that I can't do anything about. And I have tried to reach out to a bunch of friends and a bunch of people that I previously was friends with that I'm not anymore or that don't talk anymore. And I've tried to give people like second chances, like people that I feel like I wronged in some way or that wronged me or my friends. I've tried to give them second chances because I want to do for them what I want done for me. And I want to have a second chance with a lot of people. But it gets to a point where it's not under my control. And even if it was in my control, I don't know if I would jump on that like I used to. Because I used to jump on control and power, friend groups mainly. And that sounds cringy to say, but like we genuinely had power dynamics in our friend groups, and I was one of the main ones that would actually use that to like my advantage. And that's a real regret of mine because now that behavior is associated with me for some people and they just can't get it out of their heads. They can't get this idea that I'm somehow a horrible person that did people wrong and that's just never going to change about me. Even though a lot of people that I've had problems with in the past have had noticeable flat lines of character where they get to a certain point in like progress, in like building character in themselves, and they just kind of stop progressing. And I mean, that's not my place to say or think that, but I am a psychoanalytical person and I can't help but analyze things about people and about how they act and what it means, what it truly means. That's why I really value the little things in how people act and what they say and do and what I do and say and how I act. Um, but the point I'm trying to get across is I just feel like the easy things are harder because I know the importance of every little thing that I do. And that should make me a better person. It should make me more conscious and more kind, but it's kind of done the opposite. It's kind of made me consider the problems in everything rather than the goodness in everything. And I don't want to say I've become cynical, but I don't think it has helped me. I'm kind of doing it wrong. I'm doing it backward. And I feel like there's been a lot of things that I drastically understood the concept and then did it backward. Like the golden rule, to do unto others as you would want them to do to you. I used to do that, but the opposite. And a lot of people, I bet, have struggled with that. It seems very common that people will match the energy or the things somebody does or says to them. They just kind of throw it back at them. And they don't really see the way that that negatively impacts everyone. And I used to be that way really badly, where if somebody did something wrong to me, I'd throw it right back at them. If somebody excluded me from things and made me feel undervalued in a group, the second I got the final say, that person was kicked out of the group. I mean, I was probably the worst one about stuff like that. But because of the way that I used to be, it allows me to realize the characteristics of people who act the same way. And that's happened to me multiple times, as if it's some kind of um, revenge from somebody that doesn't even know they're getting revenge on me for something I did. Maybe not even to them, but that I just did to people. And it's not karma, because karma's not real, but it feels like it. Um, because like what goes around comes around, blah 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 blah. But it feels like I'm losing people, and I'm losing what it means to be me. And that sounds simple, but it also sounds really confusing. Um, and I'm trying to grasp the concept right now because I didn't plan any of this, obviously. But like, I kind of come up with things on the fly. I think best by just saying things, whether they make sense or not. It starts to build a picture in my head. But because I don't think in images, I think in words. I think in ideas. I don't actually see things in my head. That's probably why I don't dream as much as I used to. But I think that I'm on the right path. I just think that on the way to that destination that's at the end of this path, the journey I'm taking has kind of had some forks in the road, and I've taken the lesser of two evils instead of straying off the path and following Jesus. I think that I take a lot of uh, compromises in my own morality. Like, not that I compromise, but that like I take a little bit of both. I take a little bit of good and a little bit of bad, and I turn it into something somewhere in the middle. And that's not right. It could be worse, but sin is sin. And if I'm slightly being rude, that's just as bad as me being a jerk. To me, at least. But it just, certain things that have happened recently have made me realize that I could be doing a lot better. Because there was a situation recently where a very close friend of mine that I have had problems with in the past, but we have been completely through it multiple times. And he said some things like rage bait to one of the younger guys in our group. And I know all the younger guys from church. So when it comes to me, I know them better than some of the people my age that we play games with. Like it's all video games. It's not like we're hanging out in person, you know. That's not gonna happen. We don't even really hang out in person with people my age much anymore. But he said some things that in like a heated rage bait situation that went too far, and it was provoked. But keep in mind this was a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old arguing about something stupid. Not a big deal. But you can't really say the same kinds of comebacks to a younger guy as you can to someone your age. And I ripped into the guy my age, the friend my age. I ripped into him for saying what he said. I just told him straight up in front of everybody that, like I said, I told him you're a 20-year-old dude and he's not. You can't say some of these things. You can't do some of these things. And it's not the first time people have gotten mad at each other over nothing. Like that happens all the time, and that's not a big deal. You talk it out, get it over with. You know, it's not that big of a deal. But I felt like I had to step in, and I feel like I handled it wrong for the right reasons. Like I did the right thing in the wrong way. Like I should have I should have pulled the guy my age to the side and told him what I told him. I should not have put him on blast in front of everybody. And later I called him like a day or two later and apologized for it and like realized what I did wrong. But it was one of the few times that I kind of realized where I was going wrong. And it's a complicated issue. It's not that I'm doing bad things, it's that I'm doing good things in a incorrect way. And that's a really hard problem to, one, identify in yourself, and two, begin to fix. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing the right thing, but you have to come to the conclusion if you're doing it in the right way as well. So, what I'm trying to say is the videos that I make are what I want to do, but I'm doing them in the wrong ways. I don't really have a goal. And I always told myself, I was like, okay, when I get famous, I'll talk about Jesus. Or when I get more viewers or more popular or more videos posted or something, that's when I would start to share the gospel. And that's not what Jesus calls us to do. He doesn't say, go make great nations and then preach the gospel. He says, go to all the nations and preach the gospel. So, big or small, preach, and he'll provide. And I've not really trusted that about Jesus. I feel like recently I haven't fully trusted Jesus. And the only person responsible for my own faith is me. Um, Same with anyone listening. The only person in charge of your faith and your devotion to anything is you. So if you can't identify problems within yourself, you need to start trying. You need to start trying to identify anything that could possibly be pulling you away from what matters to you, whether it's Jesus or your family or just friends. I mean, it could be anything. And just you yourself could even be what's pulling you away. And a lot of people don't register that about themselves. They don't really think that hard about themselves. I think I think too much about myself. Not that I'm some egotistical maniac who doesn't care about anyone else. I feel like what it is I care too much about what I'm doing wrong instead of just fixing the problems. Because I can identify the problems like they're staring me in the face, but I struggle so much with fixing them. And I feel like anyone can relate to that. I feel like that's a very common falling point is like you know right and wrong, but you just can't do it. And there's a verse in the Bible that says it's like Paul or Paul is writing about how he knows what's right, but he continues to do the wrong things anyway, and he cannot figure out why he does this. And it's actually a very poignant verse that not a lot of people talk about, is that as a Christian, when you know what's right and wrong, but for some reason you just can't break a habit, or you can't stop sinning, you can't stop being like a negative person, even though you know the consequences, you know what sin is, but you just can't really stop doing certain things, and it becomes a deeper issue. But for me, it's like knowing that I sin kind of causes me to sin more, if that makes sense. Like knowing that I do wrong things and that I mess up kind of causes me to mess up even worse in some scenarios. But I've kind of let that stop me. And that's the last thing you should do over anything, is let something stop you. That is the last thing you do. And so I just kind of wanted to put it out there because there's not a lot of people I know. There are people I know that I could talk about something like this and they would understand. But like I want it to be out there so that I don't forget it. Is that the point of my life is not to point to me. It's to point to Jesus. And that may not be the point of your life, that may not be the point of the guy down the street's life, but it's the point of mine. And I don't really know the best way to achieve that when it comes to videos. And some people think being a Christian or being a good person means that you're always gonna be upbeat, positive, happy. And then because that's not the case, people start to turn away. People who maybe don't go to church, or that do go to church and just had a different idea of what it would be like, start to turn away when it comes to what it really means. And things are hard in life, and just because you decide to follow Jesus doesn't mean things get any easier. I mean, the only thing that gets easier is knowing that you aren't gonna be apart from God when you die. That's the only thing that gets better, is you knowing something in the back of your mind, like when it's over, you're gonna meet Jesus instead of being alone. And that's pretty much the only comfort you get. Um, Everything else kind of, you gotta figure it out on your own. And by on your own, I mean, I could read the Bible and figure out everything I needed to know, right? But sometimes problems aren't fixable, they are lessons. And even for people who aren't Christians, issues in your life could point you to something better. Like if you have problems at your job and then you eventually leave your job, you could get a better job the next day. I mean, like, there are reasons why everything happens, no matter why or who or what you believe is causing it, or like influencing things. There is a reason, and our job is just to figure the reason out. And once we know the reason, we know what to do. And I just think that the point of my life has been to have fun. And by having fun, I mean goofing around with my friends, making dumb little videos to look back at when I'm older. And that's all great. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But sometimes I just wonder if I've had opportunities to do more and I've ignored them, or I've not pursued them. And it just kind of, it really makes you think, like, could I have done something better? Could I have done this better? Could I have done that different? And usually the answer is yes. There's always improvement that can be made. And until you consistently achieve improvement, you're not going to feel good about what you're doing. And that doesn't mean that everything I do is just for nothing. That's not what I'm saying. It's more like it could be for something, and it's just not. It's a nothing burger. I've started using the term nothing burger a lot recently because there's just nothing. I mean, I feel like nothing I've done recently has had any actual meaning except for like stuff I do at church. And I feel like I've gotten so many opportunities from God to do more than that. To do more than just teach class at church, or pray when I'm at church, or listen to the Bible when I'm at church. Like, there's so many more opportunities for me to do things that make me feel like I'm accomplishing something good and right. And I've just not really been pursuing that in my own life. So I just really wanted to put out there that I'm a Christian, and I've not done a good job at showing that in my videos or in posts I make or stuff, which not everything you do needs to be like Jesus this, Jesus that, but the intention behind anything, to me, should be based in morality and not based in compromise, where it's like, okay, well, I didn't say anything bad in this video, but this guy did. I'll post it anyways. That's just not what I stand for. And the thing with making the videos is just that I feel like if there isn't anything to get out of it, like if it doesn't make me look back on something fondly or think about something deeper or like follow Jesus closer, I just feel like it doesn't matter. And so I cannot force myself to edit a whole video that I feel like just doesn't matter. And I feel like if I was a big YouTuber, I would still have that problem. I feel like YouTube is not something that can be replicated. You can't figure it out. It just kind of happens when it happens. And you just got to be consistent. Give yourself more opportunities to be lucky is the only piece of advice that like I think actually means something when it comes to content creation. Is like, if you don't post a video, you're not going to get famous. But if you post a million videos, one of them's likely to blow up just by sheer percentage. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody that cares, that I think that the reason I'm inconsistent is because I wait till something matters or till I get the motivation from something. And sometimes the motivation just comes from, like, having fun doing it. But I feel like the motivation should be Jesus. And if the motivation is Jesus, then it will motivate me to be the best version of me that I can. And that doesn't mean putting some random Bible verse at the beginning or end of the video. No hate, Cameron, because I know Big Cameron did that on one of his channels, which was great. But to me, it's like, it's not a cop-out, but that's like the easiest way to feel like you're doing it right. And he did great. Like, his videos were great during that time period, but that's just not really my style. I just think that I could be doing a lot more with my life, and I'm just kind of sitting around doing nothing, watching TV shows that don't glorify God at all, specifically like Invincible mocking religion in one of their episodes that wasn't even from the comics, and like The Boys mocking religion very grandiosely in their newest season and in older seasons, and like just negativity. I feel like a show like Daredevil is one of the few shows that doesn't mock religion, and it's not just because he's Catholic or whatever, because I don't really believe in Catholicism. Most of it is accurate to what I believe, but the saints and stuff and Mother Mary, I don't believe in that stuff. But because that's kind of valuing humans over God, and that's just not how it works, in my opinion. But not the point. I think that one of the few shows that doesn't mock religion is still from a company that loves to mock religion, and it just kind of makes you realize where people's priorities in the world are, and these incredibly successful people and businesses and stuff kind of share the same mockings and the same beliefs, and it makes you wonder, like, is there a chance for like the average ordinary person to even do some of the things that these people do, right? To become like a brand? Like, is it even possible for the average person? The average Christian, is it possible? And I think the answer is yes. I kind of want to make that my thing. Can the average Christian become a celebrity? Not a celebrity, but a big name, in a way, like a big YouTube creator. Like, can a group of guys that are all Christians become the next big YouTube group without swearing up a storm, without making slop content just for views, like those Instagram Reels reaction videos that are really funny, not because of the person making the video in any way at all, but because of the videos. Now, Try Not to Laughs and stuff are really good, and I watch some guys that aren't the most moral, but that they're really funny, and that doesn't make it right at all. If anything, it's giving a false view of how it actually is to be like a morally impure person, someone that just does and says whatever they want. It actually causes real world issues. But like, to me, there are people in this world that I have questioned their morality that I never thought I would ever question. And it makes me wonder, all those people that just believed that I was a bad person for whatever reason. Things I said in the past, things that I didn't even really say, or that were just straight up untrue. The people that believe those things, like, how can they see the world in such a, I don't want to say negative light, but such a non-optimistic view of the world, where they believe that their best friends can just suddenly be outed as this horrible person? And that does happen. Realistically, it does happen. But all the times that drama has either lasted or been about something that wasn't true, it was always a situation where someone was told something and then I didn't get told what was said. No one ever came to me about it. Not the person who first said it, not the person who thought it, and not the person who eventually got told about it. Like, nobody reached out to me about things that were directly about me. And that really shows you how the world can be sometimes. And we really need to look into what we believe and what people believe that we then believe. Because if we're not careful, every other Twitter thread is just going to be a lie and everybody's just going to believe it. I mean, do we really think that the people in our world tell the truth? Because if you really think that, you're 10 times more innocent than me. Because I've come to the conclusion that some people are just stupid. And I used to be, or maybe I still am, one of those people that just kind of believes certain things that I'm told just because somebody I know told it to me. Or I come up with false ideas of people. Because I have a friend right now who I'm kind of having on and off arguments with. Not bad, but like it's to the point where I really question if I still want to talk to this person. And sometimes I just wonder, like, would it make me a bad person to cut somebody off for something they don't even know they're doing, even if I've tried to talk to them about it before? Does it make them a bad person for holding different morals than me? Does it warrant, like, me removing them from my group? Like, just all these questions that I feel like I'm not in a place to say yes. Because if I do that, it kind of makes me a hypocrite. Because I know what I've done and what I've said and what I've gotten away with in the past. And if I don't, like, not necessarily let people do things, if I don't hold them accountable, is that worse than making them mad because I called them out? Is their feelings worth me losing a friend? Like, is my calling them out gonna matter, or is it just gonna turn them away? And that's the big thing I'm struggling with in my friend group right now, is that some of the people that have been having the most problems in our group is the one or two people that do not share the same religion as the rest of us. And I don't think it's because of that. I just think it's the difference in lifestyle. It's all the guys I know that are Christians in our group kind of go to the same church, or at least grew up very similarly. But the ones that didn't are the ones that I've been having problems with. Not just me, but other people. And it's sad to think about the fact that, like, are we too different? Are the people in my immediate group too different than these people that I'm trying to include? Who are really fun to be around, really funny people in a lot of sense. But is it worth the negativity and the problems to keep them in a group just because, not that I feel like I owe it to them, but that I shouldn't just cut them off for their beliefs or their difference in views, you know? And that also puts a stain on, like, the channel when I try and add new people, and then slowly but surely, like, we kind of drift apart in a way. Because I can't do solo content. I don't think I mentioned, I am horribly useless when it comes to filming a video on my own. This is the closest I'll ever get to, like, a solo content style, and it's just me talking. And because I'd get so distracted if I was actively trying to have a conversation with somebody else while doing something like this. But there's so many first world problems when it comes to videos and comes to everything it takes for me to make a video. And it doesn't really take that much. But it takes a lot of mental, I don't want to say strain. It's not mental strain, but it takes a lot of thought to try and at least understand where problems originate from. Is it because we don't share opinions? Is it because I said something wrong? Is it because they said something wrong? Is it because we're both right, we're both wrong? Like, there's so much that goes into it. And it makes me wonder, like, as a Christian, Jesus, all of his disciples were sinners, and some of them were really bad people, but they sat at the table with Jesus. They are in heaven right now. And I'm not Jesus. Do I have what it takes to do a fraction of what he did? To sit at the table with these people and not turn into them, to not develop their problems as my own. Because it's so much harder than it seems to just be a good person. It's so difficult because there's so many bad people that just do bad things, and they just do it and get away with it, and it causes people around me to be like, if you're gonna make me do this, if you're gonna make me act a certain way or call me out on something, why aren't you calling him out on something? And it'll be like one of my Christian friends asking why I don't call out one of our non-Christian friends, and I have to tell them sometimes, you're a Christian and they're not. I know that you know what it means to be a Christian and become a better person over time. They just might not understand. And I don't want to preach to people. I'm not trying to preach right now. But it's just that internal struggle of me fully believing what I know is right and having to not push it down, but having to keep it to myself enough that I'm not pushing it on people. And I don't really struggle with the whole, you don't push that on me, don't push your religion. Like, I don't feel guilty about stuff like that for the most part. It's like spreading the gospel in any form, as long as you're not physically forcing them to, or like pressuring them to believe what you believe. You're not forcing them to do anything. It's fully their decision. And the people who pressure Christians and say, you're forcing me to do this, those are just bad people. Don't listen to them. But I just never want to give somebody a reason to genuinely think that I'm a bad person. Because the things that people do think I'm a bad person for are things that, like, weren't true for the most part. The current things people are mad over are things that just straight up weren't true. And I feel like that's a big problem in the world right now, is just people assuming things and going to these extremities that just don't reflect the people they're talking about, or in some way lie or tell half-truths that people just value as truth immediately, every time. And it's just a crazy world we live in now. Because there are some posts I see about people who I pretty much fully believe that they're good people, do the right things, and people just straight up lie and make them sound like they are absolutely insane or evil or these demon-possessed people, and it's just crazy to me that people could say that about other people and feel good about it. But that's kind of off topic. All of that was kind of off topic. But I just wanted to give a little update. I do have videos in the works, but I'm just kind of lacking the motivation to actually record stuff right now. Not record stuff, but to actually edit. It's not like editing's hard or anything, and I don't do much with my editing. My editing's actually really simple when it comes down to it. But I just think that in order for me to, like, believe that it's worth doing, it has to be something good. And there's just been a severe lack of that when it comes to what I've been working on and things we've been doing. I just think there's not much to it. And instead of like forcing content, my content was always like what was happening at the time anyways. And that's really where the beauty of the channel came from, was the fact that whether or not I was recording, that stuff was gonna happen anyways. It's not like something forced on people. Nobody was forced to act a certain way or say certain things or get on and play a certain game, which is kind of what it's turning into. And it's because it has to, or it just wouldn't exist. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get that update out there and, like, not necessarily preach to the channel, but to say that I'm not ashamed of being a Christian and that it is a defining characteristic of who I am. And I did want that to be known. And like YouTubers like, for example, Jadion, who I've been watching some of his stuff recently, and I think the way he's going about being a Christian content creator is fine, but that's not how I would go about it. I would not put it on the back burner if I did fully go in and like fully say, hey, I'm gonna be a Christian content creator, this, and this, and we're gonna be doing, like, I think that if I fully went headfirst into something like that, it would become the focus. It wouldn't be like the main focus necessarily. Like the main focus would be the content, obviously. But then the other stuff is kind of part of the content. It's part of the story of the video or the series or whatever's going on at the time. And I think that's what a lot of content creators, when it comes to sharing their like faith, they shouldn't be afraid to make it like all about their faith, you know? That they should really go for it if they're gonna go for it. And I just think that I'm not in a place to fully go for it. I'm not consistent enough. I'm not necessarily devoted enough. Right now at this stage of my life, I'm figuring a lot of stuff out, and I do want to do videos, but I don't want that to be like my life's work. Like that's not the point at all for me. And doing the videos is just a side thing anyways, so me feeling responsible for doing it just does not really fit the point. It's not the reason. So I just want to put that out there for anybody that cares. Videos are not going to be slowing down. Nothing's going to change. It's just, it takes me a while to gather the motivation. And that goes for everything. It's not just videos, it's my school and my friend group and, you know, just everything kind of comes and goes. Yeah. I don't know how this is going to get edited. I've been talking for an hour, but I think I'm going to try and cut out the dead space if I can. But yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I kind of want to finish out this gameplay, though. I might be able to beat the game. But, if anybody sees this or sees clips of this and wants to know more or wants to see me, like, fully go in on the Christianity side of my life and kind of focus on that in videos and stuff, I'd want to know if there was an actual interest, because I know that there's always going to be an interest for Christianity. It's the most famous religion in the world. You know? Like, there's always going to be people that are Christians. That's just how it's going to go. But I just want to know how many of the people who care about what I do want me to do that, or if they just want to see positivity, because that's another thing I need to work on, is just being positive. But yeah, just want to go with that. But yeah, in case I don't finish this out all the way, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate anybody who stayed and listened or listened to any of it for the most part. Anybody who cares about the channel, it means a lot to me because I care a lot about this and making it work for the sake of me and my friends, really, because a lot of them care about it a lot. And I just want to do it right. I don't want to do it to get famous. I don't want to do it for money. I just want to do it right, and it's so hard to do it right, and nobody on the internet does it right. So hopefully, God makes it happen, and I make a name for myself or something. A lot of people care about this. A lot of people want to see it succeed. I feel like at this point, of the people who do care, I might even care the least, and that's sad because there have been times where I'm the only one that cares, and that never stopped me, and something is stopping me, and I think that just gives me even more reason to go forward with it. You know what? I might close my game and edit a video right now and make it positive, make it funny, make it good, and see what happens. But I appreciate all of you watching and supporting and whatever, and just Jesus loves you guys, loves me, loves you, and I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that may be.